Hello everyone. So finally discussion or negotiation over Iran nuclear deal has started between USA and Iran, and hence in this video we are going to discuss about Iran's nuclear program, what was the earlier deal between Iran and major parts of the world regarding their nuclear program, and under what circumstances now Iran has agreed to negotiate over this deal again. So to begin with, let's first discuss what are nuclear weapons. So nuclear weapons, they are called as weapons of mass destruction, meaning if used, nuclear weapons, they cause heavy destruction. We have seen their use by USA during World War II, when in August 1945 USA used them over Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan, and the devastation caused by nuclear weapons, right? So weapons of mass destruction, they are generally categorized into three types. One is nuclear weapons, another is chemical weapon, and third is biological weapon, right? So these kind of weapons, they cause huge destruction. Now because these weapons, they can cause such kind of destruction, it is very essential that these weapons, they remain in the hands of responsible parts only and not to irresponsible people. And hence, with respect to nuclear weapons, in order to stop the proliferation of nuclear weapons into irresponsible hands, a treaty, a very famous treaty was signed. It is called as Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Even though this treaty became open for signing in 1968, it became operative in 1970, right? Most of the countries of the world right now, so 191 countries, they have signed this treaty. They are a member of this treaty. India is not a member of NPT. We will be discussing why also. So what does basically NPT says? NPT, because it became operative, or it became open for signing in 1968, NPT says the countries which have developed nuclear weapons or nuclear technologies before 1st of January 1967, these countries will be recognized as nuclear powers. At that time, by January 1967, there are only few countries, namely USA, USSR, China, France and UK. Only these 5 countries were having nuclear weapon technology, and hence NPT also recognizes that these countries can have nuclear weapons. But then NPT further says all other countries of the world, they cannot develop nuclear weapons. They can have nuclear technology for civilian purpose, for civilian use, but not for military use. India opposes to this treaty, saying this treaty basically divides the countries into haves and have-nots. What does it mean? That few countries, they can have nuclear weapons, but rest they can't. So few countries, namely these P5 countries, the permanent 5 of UNSC, United Nations Security Council, these countries, they can have it. So India is against such kind of division. Anyhow, you must be knowing that just before signing of this treaty, in 1962, India fought a war with China, right? China, which is India's biggest neighbor as well. So India fought a war with China in 1962, and hence India sees, or India perceives China as a threat. At that time also India perceived China as a threat to India's national security. If China can have nuclear weapon under NPT, India cannot afford to remain non-nuclear by this threat of nuclear weapons of China. And hence India did not sign NPT. Because India did not sign NPT, Pakistan also refused to sign NPT. So and hence now the question comes, which all countries of the world have nuclear weapon? So P5 countries, the permanent 5, the 5 which I have mentioned in the last slide, those 5 countries, they anyhow have nuclear weapons. Apart from these 5 countries, India, Pakistan, North Korea also have tested for nuclear weapons. These countries also have nuclear weapons, and Israel is also estimated to have nuclear weapons, although Israeli government has never publicly accepted, but experts they believe that Israel also has nuclear weapon technologies, or they have nuclear weapon themselves. So only these 9 countries of the world right now they have nuclear weapons. Now the next question which comes is that what is Iran's nuclear program? Why only Iran or deal with Iran is into discussion? So you see, Iran, it first got the nuclear technology from USA itself. So if you know little bit about the history of Iran, so till 1979, till the Islamic Revolution of Iran in 1979, Iran used to be a monarchy, right? And there was rule of Pahlavi dynasty in Iran. The king of Iran, the monarch of Iran at that time, was very close to, he was a secular person and he was a Western educated person. He was very close to Western countries. He was backed by USA, and hence it was USA only which first gave Iran a nuclear technology, but that technology was to be used only for civilian purpose. They did not give them nuclear technology to make weapons, only for civilian use, for example to generate electricity, right? So I am saying basically in 1950s itself Iran got nuclear technology and they got it from USA only. But after 1979, after the Islamic Revolution of Iran, when monarchy was thrown, or in Islam there was a rule of theologists. So Iran even though there are elections in Iran, but the supreme leader of Iran is not elected, only the president of Iran is elected, right? After Islamic Revolution, Iran's relations with USA or West as a whole started deteriorating. Now under such circumstances, USA started imposing sanctions on Iran, especially because slowly in 1980s, 90s and early 2000, such claims were made that Iran is developing its nuclear capability. Iran now is violating the NPT, Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Now because such accusations were made against Iran, what USA started doing is USA started imposing sanctions on Iran. Because of the sanctions imposed by USA, because of the isolation of Iran from the global economy, Iran's economy started crippling, which led to Iran being forced by Western countries to come to a negotiation table and sign a nuclear deal with the Western countries. Now and hence under such circumstances in 2015, a deal was signed between Western powers and Iran. The Western powers which were involved in the deal are called as P5+1. Those permanent 5 countries of the UNSC, namely USA, Russia, China, UK and France plus Germany. These 6 countries, they signed a nuclear deal with Iran in 2015. It is called as JCPOA, full form is Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, right? What was there in this deal? It was mentioned in the deal that now there will be a cap on how much percentage of nuclear fuel Iran can enrich. So I hope you know the basics, that in order to make nuclear weapon, you have to enrich the nuclear fuel, especially uranium 235, above a certain level. So for example, the limit was somewhere near to 4%, that more than 4% uranium 235 cannot be enriched. A lesser percentage or below 4%, this grade of uranium can be used only for civilian purpose. To make nuclear weapon, you have to make uranium more unstable, and for this you need to enrich it further. This enrichment per cap was imposed by this deal of JCPOA. The next thing which this JCPOA had is about the number of centrifuges Iran can have. What is basically a centrifuge? Centrifuge is basically a tool or a machine. What does it do? It basically distinguish the various kind of isotopes of uranium. For example, uranium 238, uranium 235, there is uranium 233 as well. In the naturally found uranium, the percentage of uranium 238 is very high, and hence uranium 238 has to be isolated with uranium 235, which is mostly used for making nuclear weapons. This segregation of uranium 235 with 238 is done by centrifuge. This treaty, JCPOA, this agreement, it basically limited how many centrifuges Iran can have in their country, so that they can only use it for civilian purpose, not for military purpose. The next aspect of JCPOA was about the stockpile of nuclear fuel, that Iran can keep only this much of nuclear fuel. So this limit was also kept. But what did Iran get in return? In return, Western countries, they promised to remove sanctions gradually from Iran, so that money starts flowing into Iran. Iran can also export its oil to other countries. So, right. So Iran was given relief in terms of economic sanctions. And what was the achievement of Western countries? Western countries could somehow stop Iran from developing nuclear weapons. But then in 2018, the president of USA, Donald Trump, in his first tenure, he pulled USA out of this treaty or this agreement. President Trump said that the agreement which was signed in 2015, it is very favorable to Iran. He also said that Iran is violating JCPOA, which many other international organizations and other countries which have signed JCPOA, countries like Russia, China, Britain or France or Germany, they don't acknowledge Iran violating JCPOA, but USA said, or Trump said, that Iran is violating JCPOA. And secondly, this JCPOA, it does not debar Iran from developing ballistic missiles. It only stops Iran from making nuclear weapons, but not from ballistic missiles. And hence President Trump was of the view that this treaty or this deal, JCPOA, it is very favorable to Iran. And hence USA unilaterally without taking into confidence the other partners of this deal, USA unilaterally in 2018 pulled out from this particular deal and again started imposing sanctions on Iran. Now Iran stopped its nuclear program just because sanctions were removed from Iran. Now when USA again started imposing sanctions on Iran, Iran openly said, now we will be developing nuclear weapons again. And hence Iran started enriching uranium beyond that certain level. Iran again started stockpiling uranium or nuclear fuel. All these things Iran started doing, and Iran publicly acknowledged also that now we can make nuclear weapon because USA is not abiding the treaty and USA has started imposing sanctions on us. So now in the end, let's discuss what has made Iran to come to the negotiation table again. So USA, when in 2018 it pulled out of JCPOA and started imposing sanctions on Iran again, Iran vowed not to sign any deal with USA again. But Iran, under the pressure of USA or under the pressure of President Trump of USA, they have again come to negotiation table. Let's discuss what factors, what reasons led Iran to come to negotiation table. The first reason is that because of the sanctions imposed by USA, what has happened is in Iran, the inflation, it has reached to double digit. So Iran mein right now inflation is also very high, as well as unemployment rate in Iran, that is also very high. Because of the sanctions by USA, right now Iran is not able to trade freely with other countries. It is not able to export its oil and gas to other countries very easily. it is not getting investment from other countries, right? The second reason which has weakened Iran is that the axis of resistance which Iran has created in Middle East region, that axis has become weak. So axis of resistance, it is basically consisting of few groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, then Houthis, etc. These groups, they are backed by Iran. Now because of the conflict started between Palestine, or basically Hamas and Israel, this conflict, it has led, or it has given Israel a reason to attack on these organizations, right? And because of the severe attack by Israel on these organizations, especially Hamas and Hezbollah, they have become very weak right now, right? So axis of resistance, it has become weak, and Israel or Iran's position in Middle East as a whole has also got weakened. The next reason is that right now, or for last 1 year, what we are also seeing is under the I'll say influence of China, Iran and its very big rival in Middle East, that is Saudi Arabia, their relations have started improving. So you might have read about rapprochement in the relations between Saudi Arabia and Iran because of the mediation done by China. So because of this, what is happening is, even now, even Saudi Arabia is also asking Iran to improve its relations with USA, right? As well as Saudi Arabia wants USA also to normalize its relations with Iran. So Saudi Arabia, a big regional player, an ally of USA in Middle East, is also playing a positive role for improving the relations between Iran and USA. And lastly, because of the change in government in USA, the new president of USA, that is Donald Trump, is not like the earlier ones. He has openly given threat to Iran that if you don't come to negotiation table, if you don't stop your nuclear program, Iran will be facing military attack by USA. All these reasons cumulatively, they have made Iran to come to negotiation table with USA, and the first discussion, the first meeting between US officials and Iran's foreign minister has happened recently. So I hope through this video you have understood why nuclear program of various countries, or especially countries like North Korea and Iran, are a threat to the global peace, how these organizations or how these programs have been stopped by USA till now. Not just USA, major parts of the world, what is nuclear non-proliferation treaty and what is happening now in this particular deal. So I hope you have liked this video. If you have liked this video, please do subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much.